Can we start, Utkarsh?
Just a moment, sir. There's some glitch. Just a moment. Give me one minute.
Okay.
Yeah, sir. We can start. We can start, sir.
Hello, welcome and good afternoon. My name is Venugopal, and today we are going to understand about how to file GSTR-9 for the financial year 22-23. Along with me, my colleague Bharti would be walking us through how to use technology and using GST Zen. How do we simplify the filing of GSTR-9? More so, before you file, the key validations that you need to do, whether there are any errors in GSTR-9 is the important aspect. The practical aspect of it will be taken care by Bharti. Just to let us know about GST Zen. GST Zen is a cloud-based GST compliance software. GST Zen, we are a GSP, and we assist taxpayers in not just filing the returns and handling the compliance, but also in reconciling their returns with the books, assisting in e-invoice preparation, automating e-way bill generation, and more so the latest feature of notice management, where in one click you will be able to download and look at all the notices. For more information, you can always reach us on our website. Starting with GSTR-9, today we are going to look at it. What are the basic structure of the format of GSTR-9 is? I'm sure most of you have seen it, would have filed the returns. Maybe some of you are filing it for the first time. So we'll quickly walk you through the structure and identify the difference between 9 and 9C. What should be the content that shall go into 9 and what should be the one which goes to 9C? We'll practically look at how we prepare GSTR-9 and 9C using GST Zen and what are the key validations before you file your annual returns. So this is a okay, sorry, I think I got muted and not sure at what time it got muted. No problem. Just to let you know about the outline of the session, we are going to cover GSTR-9 and 9C. We will also walk you through how to file GSTR-9 9C using the cloud platform GST Zen and the key validations. We will be looking at that, right? It's roughly an hour session. In case if you have any doubts, please put up your questions in the chat. We'll be taking up those questions. Feel free to interact, get your questions clarified because we are here to assist you in simplifying your GSTR-9 filing. To start with, who is the one who have to file GSTR-9 and what is the information that has to go into GSTR-9 and the key difference between GSTR-9 and 9C. Please note the form GSTR-9, what I call is as a statement of fact. When I say statement of fact, you will be reporting the information of the taxes that you have paid. Using the GSTR-9 form, you are giving an explanation to the government, the reason why such taxes have been paid. And in case if you have not paid the taxes, you will not be reporting it into GSTR-9. That's the point number one. But GSTR-9C is what is the liability to pay the taxes. You would be looking at when you have to pay the taxes, have you paid those taxes or not, will be recorded in 9C. It might be little abstract for you. We will decode in a while. But the point I want you to get at a contextual level, GSTR-9, you will not report any values if the taxes have not been paid. You will not report any values if input tax credit not availed. You will not report any reversal if you have actually not reversed. So what you have done is what you will be reporting in your GSTR-9. What you should have ideally be doing, whether ideally what should be the tax payable, ideally how much ITC should be availed or reversed. The ideal situation is captured in 9C. The difference between 9 and 9C is given by way of explanation, the reasons, or if there is a tax liability, you will be discharging through DRC03. So the contextually, this is the difference. Now, everyone should file. The answer is yes. However, there is a turnover criteria. If your turnover, aggregate turnover, 2 subsection 6 of the Act says aggregate turnover, it is not GSTIN basis turnover, it is a PAN based turnover. Sigma turnover of all the GSTNs is what you will be looking at. If your turnover is exceeding 2 crores, you would be filing annual return. Let's say I have a registration in West Bengal, Delhi, and Maharashtra, Mumbai. In these 3 states, I have a registration. Approximately, I am doing a turnover of 70 lakhs in each of the states. Cumulatively, I have exceeded 2 crores, so which is 2.1 crore. I should be filing GSTR-9 in all of the states. It is not a PAN-based filing, it is GSTN-based filing. So for each GSTN ID, I have to file it. Situation 2, I have a registration in Maharashtra, which is doing a turnover of 2.5 crores, and a registration in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, which is doing a turnover of, let's say, 5 lakhs. Do I need to do GSTR-9 in Ahmedabad, even though my turnover has not crossed 2 crores? Answer is yes, because you got to look at a PAN-based turnover and not GSTN-based turnover. While the limit for GSTR-9 is 2 crores, the limit for GSTR-9C is 5 crores. Upon crossing a threshold limit of 5 crores, you will have to file both 9 and 9C. Section 44 read with Rule 80. By when I have to file? By 31st December of this year, you have to file it. So broadly, what is the source of reporting? Maybe when you look at it, you'll get a broader idea. When let's say there is a turnover in the books and respective taxes have been paid in R1 and 3B, you will be reporting in GSTR-9. This is your happy path. There could be a situations where you have a turnover in the books, but erroneously you have missed the reporting in your GSTR-1. Maybe error. You did not report exempted turnover, you did not report B2C or some B2B, whatever. For some reason you forgot, but you have actually paid the taxes. The taxes were paid. You will report it in your GSTR-9 since the taxes are paid. Now, on a contrary to this, you have a turnover in your books of accounts. You have turnover in your GSTR-1 also. You reported R1 correctly, but you did not discharge the taxes in 3B. Since the 3B you have not paid the taxes, you will not report your turnover in the turnover and the tax liability in GSTR-9 because you have not paid the taxes. On a contrary, government has given an option to remit the differential taxes through DRC03. There is an option called annual return. If you are making payment of the taxes through DRC03, then such turnover would get reported in R9. Hope this gives you a clarity as to what gets reported in R9 and what doesn't get reported in R9. This is very important, though it looks like simple tick marks, but I would definitely urge you to get a clarity on this, the contextually what goes to your GSTR-9. Looking at the structure of the form is divided into 6 parts, part 1 to part 6. Very beautifully drafted form. Part 1 is the basic information. Part 2 talks about liability, table 4 and table 5. Part 3, input tax credit, table 6, 7 and 8. 6 is credit availed, 7 is credit reversed, 8 is reconciliation with 2A. Please note it is a reconciliation with 2A and not 2B. So availment is as per 2B, but table 8 is a reconciliation with GSTR 2A. Ideally, the tax liability will be computed basis this. So your part 3 is obviously table 9, tax payable and the taxes paid. The form should have closed by now, but we know that there are error is human and people correct mistakes of the any tax period in the subsequent tax period. And we have circular 26/26 2017, which is giving you an explanation as to how you will correct the errors. So these errors which have been corrected in the subsequent periods are reported in part 5, table 10 to table 14. Government want miscellaneous information. The miscellaneous information is captured in part 6, tables 15 to table 19. Broadly, this is the structure of GSTR-9. So that respective data has to get into this. Before I move to 9C, let me give you an explanation of let me give you an explanation of the turnover reporting. Okay, I think it's coming up in the subsequent, so no problem. Let me walk you through 9C also. 9C is 5 parts, where the reconciliation is expected with the GSTR-9. So in your part 2, you will compute your total turnover between table 5 to table 8, taxable turnover and the total turnover, and you'll compare with what is being reported in R9. So in 9C, you're computing what should have been your turnover and you're comparing with your GSTR-9, and you'll give a reason for it. While the turnover might be correct, you might have discharged a short tax, wrong tax. So the tax computation is determined in part 3, table 9 to 11, and differences thereon is explained there. ITC is computed in part 4, input tax credit from table 12 to table 16 in 9C. Additional liability, if any, owing to the difference in the turnover will be discharged in 9C also. Again, the DRC03 is the challan that you will be using to discharge the taxes. Let me see if there are any questions to anyone at this point. Someone is saying table screen is not appearing. Hope, is the screen visible, Utkarsh, to everyone?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
All right. Okay. Now, what is the source of information? What does you need to have to file your returns? You need to have the GSTR 3B, all the 12 months 3B that you have filed, all the 12 months GSTR 1 that you have filed. Hope all of you have got your books of accounts audited. You have your audited financial statements and copy of GSTR 2B. We are talking about financial year 22-23. You need to have this information for 22-23. Alongside of it, which is for the financial year 23-24, you got to have 3B and R1 because you might have done some amendments. You also need to have financial year 21-22 GSTR-9, copies of DRC03 tax payments, copies of refunds claimed, and notice or orders that have come from the department. You need all this information to file your GSTR-9. Thankfully, when you use GST, then all this data will be collated, compiled on a single click, all the data that gets extracted. Bharti would a demo of that. Let's start with the turnover reporting. The first and foremost, people have to reconcile the turnover from the books of accounts to the GST, because books of accounts goes by accounting standard 9 or the respective Ind AS, while the revenue is recognized on a matching concept and earning basis. While on GST, the revenue is recognized basis section 12 and 13 on the time of supply, read with section 31. There would be a gap between the revenue that is there in the books versus the revenue offered to the tax. Let's say the advances from customer will be a liability for GST, while it is not a revenue in the books. Or if you have recognized a revenue as unbilled in the books, it is revenue in the books, while the revenue comes to GST only when you are raising an invoice within the specified time. Or if you have any schedule 1 transaction, it wouldn't be affecting in the books because it's a schedule 1 transaction, while it's applicable to tax for GST. So you will have to make a reconciliation. So from the audited financial statement, you will carve out the turnover for GST, and from the turnover from the GST, you will reconcile and prepare what should be the expected turnover for the purpose of GST. Books turnover to GST turnover. Once this turnover has been identified, you will now split into the respective buckets and report it in GST. The turnover in GST is reported into two tables, table 4 and table 5. Table 4, if you have a transactions where the tax is applicable, you will be reporting there. If there are transactions where the tax is not applicable, you will be reporting in table 5. In table 4, the one highlighted in the green are very important. Table 4 to 4A to 4E is what you will be reporting all your turnover. 4A, which is B2C, 4B is B2B. So table 4 is transactions where tax is applicable. So even exports, when you're doing with pay, the tax is applicable. So 4C exports with pay, SEZ with pay is 4D, and deemed exports is 4E. This is ideally the outward taxable turnover. 4F, advances received and adjusted. 4G, it is inward transaction for which you are liable to pay under RCM basis. And if you are issuing credit notes and debit notes pertaining to 4B, C, D, and E, please note credit notes, debit notes pertaining to B2C will be reported in 4A net off basis, and it would not be reported in either 4I or 4J. If you have issued an invoice erroneously and you have made an amendment, if it is upward in 4K and downward in 4L, this is how you will split the turnover. So the derived turnover is split between two categories, taxable and not taxable. The taxable is reported in table 4 and not taxable is reported in table 5. Not taxable on what account? Could be exports without pay, zero rated SEZ without pay, or outward RCM, like you are a GTA, you are a security agency, you are a lawyer, advocate. So where your services are taxable in the hands of the recipient, you will be reporting all that turnover in your table 5, including exempted nil and non-GST. Here the word non-GST would include no supply. So that means schedule 3 transactions would also get reported here, which is neither supply of goods nor supply of service. 9 subsection 2, supply of alcoholic liquor, supply of petroleum products would get covered here. Even non-taxable supplies or supply of alcoholic liquor for human consumption would also get reported here. Broadly, table 5 is all the turnover that gets reported. So just to compute what is my total turnover is in 5N, which is taxable turnover, that is 4N minus 4G, because 4G was the inward RCM, plus 5M, which is exempted. Put together is your 5N total turnover. You got to compare this turnover with a reconciliation table we have, which has been done some time back. What you have to include is all taxable and exempted amendments that you have carried in the financial year 23-24 pertaining to 22-23, debit note, credit notes, and non-GST and no supply should also be included in this reporting. Just to sum up, where you will be reporting in which table. Table 4 is the turnover in which the tax has been paid. So where if you are paying the taxes of financial year 22-23 in 22-23, then you will report it in table 4. If you have paid in 3B of 23-24, then you will report it in table 10 or table 11. So it is, if you have excess paid, it will go to table 10. If it is if it is short paid and you paid in the subsequent period, it will go to table 10. If it is an excess payment and you have adjusted, then it will go to table 11. So it is both the table 10 and the table 11. That is what you will be reporting. This is, you have to be excess you have paid, then which you have adjusted in the next year, table 11. If you have short paid and you have paid in the next year, it is table 10. Assuming you have not at all paid, but you are now paying using DRC 03 annual return, then it goes to table 4. you have a doubt, you have a bona fide reason that it is not taxable, or you are not willing to pay, if you are not paying it, then you will not be showing it in your annual return. This is something you should be mindful of. Before I move to input tax credit, any questions to anyone? There's a question from Rajesh. In case of a builder, after completion sale of the flat to be reported under non-GST supply or exempt supply, Rajesh, Schedule 3 is a no supply. It is neither supply of goods nor supply of service. Hence, it should be reported as non-GST supply and not an exempt supply. All right, moving to the ITC related reporting. So we have another 10 minutes. Good, we're on time. ITC is covered in 3 tables, table 6, 7, and 8, while in 9C it is covered in table 12 and table 14. Now, table 6, whichever is the input tax credit availed, I have purposely have striked off as per 3B, because error is human. You might have reported in different tables of 3B also. It's a last opportunity. Please think GSTR-9 is a last opportunity to correct it. Now, assuming purchases made in the financial year 22-23, but the credit claimed in the financial year 23-24, you will not report here, because in the financial year 22-23, you have not availed any input tax credit. There is a reporting table. How you have table 10 and 11? You have table 12. If you have reversed any credit in the next year, you will report in table 12. If you have availed any credit in next year, you will report in table 13, which is only an information table, has got nothing to do a reconciliation with the GSTR 3B or electronic credit ledger. While table 6, 7 corresponds to values in 3B and electronic credit ledgers. So the table 6 has 6B to 6H, where reporting comes from 3B, 6K to 6M, reporting comes from either filing of trans returns or ITC 01, 02, any other returns that you have filed, information comes from that source. Broadly, if I have to give you a comparison, so what goes to GSTR-9 is 6B, predominantly it's a 6B, which is a forward charge credits equivalent to 4A5. Please note, equivalent to 4A5. Now, in 4A5, there is a chance that you will have a credit appearing twice. How is that possible? We have this concept of temporary reversals and permanent reversal. For example, in the current month, I have made the purchases, but the goods have not come to me. Bill has not come to me. How will I report it? I will report the transaction in 4A5 and report it into 4B2 as a temporary reversal. Next month, when the goods have come, I will again report it into 4A5 and report my reavailment reversal reference in 4D1. So this reavailment of the credit, when you are availing the credit second time, you will report the reverse reference of the second time availment in 6H and not in 6B, because 6B is compared with 2A via table 8A. So the value of 6B is corresponds to 8B, and compared with 8A is 2A. If you are finding it sounding like too much table numbers, don't worry. If you keep the form in front of you, when you start filling it, you will get it. So, but the point I want to drive is, do not blindly report the entire 4A5 into 6B. You've got to segregate the reavailed credit. So in a thumb rule way, 4D1 value go to 6H. But however, there could be differences, but broadly get that. Then you have other category, reverse charge credit in 4A3. So if it is from registered person 6C, unregistered person 6D. Import of goods reported in 6E while it is in 4A1. Import of services 6F and ISD credit 6G. Ideally, these are the corresponding credits of 3B. If you have made any error in 3B, you have done a wrong reporting, No problem. Here is an option to correct it and do a correct reporting in GSTR-9. So what you should be focusing on is the 7J, that's the net input tax credit that one has availed. Utilized during the year goes to table 9, taxes paid. If you have not used some credit, it is lying as a balance. So the 7J balance should be matching with table 9, taxes paid, or the closing balance that is there in the electronic credit ledger as on March 23. So how do I correspond? How do I see the reversal of the credits? The credits are compared with 4C, the net credit available. Seven I. So 6I minus 7I will give you the credits that you have availed. There was a question people were asking about how about the credit that availed in the subsequent period. So if you are trying to compare with your books of accounts, so whatever the credit that you have availed in the previous year, plus that some credit which you have availed in the next year. So total recorded in the books, out of which something availed now, something availed next. For example, I have reversed in the books, did not reverse in the my GSTR 3B, which I have reversed in the next period. So 9 plus 13 minus 12 will be matching with your books of accounts input tax credit register. Broadly, this is how you have to see. This is again a thumb rule explanation. Case to case basis, there will always be an edge cases. So whenever I'm giving you a formula, you should consider 95 to 99% of the time it will fit into. So the confidence interval is 95 to 99. Edge cases would have an exceptions and have to be dealt in a special way. Special focus on reverse charge reporting, because I've been noticing that people miss out or do not report it. Firstly, if you have not paid the taxes in the previous year, do not report it in your GSTR-9. You cannot report and reverse charge liability paid in the subsequent year in the form. That's what instructions has been given. In the first instruction which has been given, they have clearly said that there is a press release on 3rd July 2019, wherein they were saying that the clarification asked for the reverse charge liability. So they have clearly said any reverse charge not paid should not be reported in this table. It should be reported in the period in which when it has been paid only to be reported. So for you to cross check, you are availing credit in table 6C and 6D, and you are paying liability in 4G. So your 4G liability should always be higher. Compare the value of RCM in 2A also. So even in 2A we have if is RCM applicable. If it is marked as yes, you got to ensure that the taxes have been reportedly as RCM in your outward. Coming to table 8, ideally, this has a relevance till financial year 21-22. Now the credits being availed basis to be, honestly, I don't find any reason for it. Maybe at one point they might remove this, but broadly to understand, the expectation is reconcile the credits of 2A with the credits that you have taken. In case if you're finding it difficult, the government says this is an optional form, don't fill. You prepare a separate reconciliation statement and attach. In 9C, you have 4 attachments, P&L, balance sheet, and any other attachments. I am sure most of the taxpayers are preparing the reconciliation of this separately and attaching it, because you have some credits not matching, credits being shown as lapse, all this. Let me give you conceptually what does it say. So the government is saying that, okay, if there are 10 line items in 2A, how did you deal with them? Have you availed the credit? If yes, when did you avail? If you availed in the same tax period, report it in your 8B. It is an auto-populated. If you have availed in the subsequent tax period, report it in 8C. So what you have not availed will be automatically coming to 8D, which is, we call it as a lapse credit. So why did you not avail? Because you forgot to take, or it is ineligible and you have not taken. So whatever be the reason. With the new format, earlier we had the concept of reporting ineligible credits under 4D, 4D1, 17.5 and 4D2, any other. But now if you see the ineligible credits to be reported for B1 under permanent reversals. So that is why if you see the second tab, even is ineligible, but you have availed, even that will be coming under 8B. So this reporting is directly linked with what you have reported in 4A5 and 4C is what you will be reporting it here. Friends, broadly, this is what you will be looking at the input tax credit, and anything that is availed next year would be there in table 13. So you got to again cross verify it carefully. Certain adjustments, if you are paying taxes till March 23, put it to table 4. If you are paying taxes up until 30th November, that is the 3B of till October that you are filing in November, goes to 10 and 11. Balance tax payable DRC 03, it goes to table 4. And just for your cross reconciliation, the final turnover will be there in table 4 plus 10 minus 11. Taxes payable is there in 2 columns, 9 bracket 2, and in table 14. The taxes paid is there also in 2 columns, the table 9 and table 14. If you have any tax short payment, you have to pay it only through DRC 03. You cannot pay using ITC, you have to pay it through cash. You can use ITC provided it was ITC balance existing as on March 23 and it is a continuing balance, you can do it. You cannot trade on the future credit, but you can pay it with the balance available as on that date. Can I pay the excess or unreversed ITC due now? You can do it through DRC 03 and report it in table 7, no problem. Any other liability arising, it has to be paid through cash only. This is something you got to be very mindful of. So you have another table 17, HSN wise reporting. This is where when you use GST Zen, it gives you a simplified data. I'm sure most of the people were struggling in filling this data in the last year, but Zen gives you a beautiful simplified summary of the value that needs to be reported. This is HSN wise, all the 6 digits. So the values of table 4, 5, 10, 11 will be coming up here. Advances outward and inward RCM non-GST will not be reported in HSN. B2B, it is mandatory to have the HSN. So the expectation is the turnover of B2B should be with the HSN values, right? In 9C, there are certain validations you will have to do. The turnover that is reported in GSTR-9, which is 5N, and 510 minus table 10 minus 11, this is the turnover on which you will be paying taxes. You will compare this with the table 5 of 9C, while the taxable turnover is compared in table 7 of 9C. But someone was asking the presentation, I'm sure first time when you are looking at it, these numbers would be a little confusing. However, this presentation would be shared. Please go through. Before you file all these validations, put into a paper, tick them that you are all filling all these numbers. Because when you are doing a taxable turnover, it's very important that you add 10 and 11, 10 minus 11, while it was not there when you are doing in the exempt turnover. The tax payable in GSTR-9 is, please note it is tax payable, not taxes paid. Tax payable should be compared with the tax liability of GSTR-9. ITC availed is referred to 7J. The ITC availed is referred to 7J of the GSTR-9. This got to be matching with 12E of 9C. And also you have to do reconciliation with the subsequent period availment. You have to do a reconciliation. There is an expectation that you have to do an expense-wise reconciliation similar to clause 44 of the 3CD. If we are using books of accounts in Tally, GST Zen has a very beautiful connector where the data is extracted. This information is compiled in a table where you can easily put a pivot expense-wise you can compute the tax liability and present it. Here, all the tax input tax credit, both capital goods and the revenue goods, you have to segregate with payment, without payment, and report it into table 14 of 9C. With this, we have come to end of the theory part of the question. Good, we are bang on time, so that we can spend more time in the Q&A and take up the questions on the practical aspect of it, while my colleague Bharti will show you the demo. There are a couple of important dates which I've just brought up for your information. I'm sure most of you have been served with some or the other notices or audit or another things. The due date for the financial year 17-18 to issue a demand order under section 73 is 31st December 23. And 3 months prior to it, a show cause notice DRC01 should be issued. So 30th September 23 should have been DRC03. Like for 18-19 is March 24 and June 24. So these are the dates highlighted in the red. Just be careful of watchful. We also have a WhatsApp channel. So you can just scan this QR code and you can join our WhatsApp group. Utkarsh, request you to put the link also in the chat so that people can join. In the meantime, let me see if there are any questions before I hand it over to Bharti. Manish Katari is asking, there are amounts which are auto-populating in GSTR-9, which is not matching with GSTR-1. What do we do? You can change it? 100% yes, you can change it. We are putting correct figures in both 9 and 9C. And if there is a difference in 3B and 9, we put it on remarks in 9C. Is it correct? Abhishek, if you are putting in every correct figure in 3B and 9, your 9C will not have a difference. If you have short paid, then there would be a difference. That is what you should be looking at. Otherwise, broadly, your understanding is right. Yeah. With this, I stop my presentation and I hand it over to Bharti. Yeah, Utkarsh, thank you for putting it in the chat. So you can join our GST WhatsApp channel. Don't worry, we don't spam it. We just periodically share some GST updates and notifications. One more question from Manish. ITC of financial year 21-22 utilized in the financial year 22-23. I don't know what you mean by utilized. I'm presuming it has availed. So if you have availed in financial year 22-23, sorry, 23-24, it will become ITC of 23-24 and not of 22-23 or 21-22. So I would be presuming, Manish, I think your dates are very confusing. You are saying 21-22 utilized in 22-23 but claimed in 23-24. Please note, very simple. GSTR-9 goes with 3B. The period in which you reported in 3B, that period it goes to your GSTR-9. That's all. That's a simple way of understanding it. All right. Let me stop my presentation and let me invite Bharti for taking the practical aspect of how to file GSTR-9. In fact, the most important part of today's session is only this. If you're sitting here and attending the session, you're attending only for this. How to simplify your filing of returns. Yes, Bharti, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that explanation. So now I'll move on to the practical aspect of it. Okay, just sharing my screen.
Yeah.
It'll take 1 or 2 seconds. Okay. So now I hope my screen is visible to all.
Yes.
So this is GST Zen. So once you sign up and log in, you can add all your GST numbers here. This is the dashboard that is shown for all the GST numbers that you add. You have the status of your recent returns here. You have GSTR-1, 3B, and your GSTR-9. So you would know whether it has been filed on time or you have not filed yet or it was filed late. So when you're filing GSTR-9, what you do is you select the particular GST number from here. You can search it if you have too many GST numbers. So I'm using this, and in here you would get all the functions available within that GSTR1. You can download various reports. You have GSTR1, 2A, 2B, 3B. We have this consolidated report as well, which is very helpful for filing GSTR9 that I'll be showing you subsequently. Then you have reconciliation available. So you can reconcile your purchase register with 2A, with 2B, and sales register with GSTR1 and e-invoices. Now moving on to the filing part, you have 1, 3B, 9 and 9C available. So we are selecting GSTR9 and then we select the particular financial year. Okay. The first step would be to log in with OTP. I'm already logged in here. Then you would also download this auto calculated GSTR9. So whatever summary that has been generated by the government portal, we are downloading that. And if you want the figures to come as per your uh, filed returns, what we do is we download the data of 22-23 as well as 23-24. So I can just go to 22-23 financial year. Here select all and click on download data from the government portal. So all of this is downloading or has already been downloaded. Same thing we do for 23-24 as well, because you have the option of reporting your data until next year. So we just here also we select all and download. Okay. It will take a few seconds.
So
Based
basically, this was the method in which on one click, all historical 3Bs has been selected, and the 3B, 2A of this period, everything gets selected. So that is why I said using the technology. So now the data required for filing GSTR 9 and 9C has come. You can see on the left side, the green color data has come up and gone. That's how it is done. Yes, done.
So now you can download that consolidated report to review your filed data. You can consider to A or you can consider to B, whichever you want the report to be based on. You can use that. And this report will show you the consolidated figures for your returns. That is your 1, 2B, 3B, sorry, 1, 2, in this case 2A, 3B. And further, it will also compare your figures of 1 with 3B as well as 2A with 3B. One glance, you'll have a summary. So if you just want to see GSTR1, if you want to see the total figures filed for each month, so here you can see those figures. Similarly, you have the same thing for GSTR3B. So at a summary glance, you can see all the figures that have been filed for GSTR3B. You can see the full year figure for 1 and 3B. This is a comparison of your ITC availed and ITC available. So what ITC is available in 2A and what you have claimed in 3B. That is what it shows here for various tables. Similarly, if you have uploaded your books to GST-Zen, it will also compare the sales and purchase register with GSTR3B. And you have GSTR1, liability reported in GSTR1 versus liability reported in GSTR3B. There might be slight differences which are then reported here. All the differences will be shown. So here you can reconcile and check where that particular difference is coming in 1 and 3B, and then you can investigate further after looking at the figures. Plus we have this sales and purchase at a glance. You can see the books versus GSTR1. Then you have books versus GSTR3B, and at the end you have GSTR1 versus 3B. Similarly, you have for purchases you have books with 2A. Then you have books with GSTR3B, and at last you have 2A with 3B. So all this data is available under the same report. Okay, now moving on, we have seen the consolidated report. Plus, if you want to check your GSTR table 8A figures, so here also people want to check their data because this table is based on 2A and you want the comparison and see where the discrepancy is coming between 2A and GSTR table 8A. So this report will show you all those details. This is also helpful because you want to see how that portal is arriving at that GSTR-9 table 8A figure. You can go to this overview sheet. Here it will show you eligible as per GSTR-9 table 8A, ITC in 2A, ITC that is there in GSTR 2A and not there in table 8A. So this will be your difference between the portal between GSTR 9 table 8A and 2A. So here you'd see invoice level details of your GSTR 9 table 8A and match status, whether it's available in both GSTR 8A and 9. It will also show you the eligibility and whether it's eligible or not, and then you can prepare your GSTR 9. Okay, so going back, we have seen the consolidated report and we have seen the reconciliation of GSTR 9 with table 8A. We have downloaded this auto calculated data as well, and now I'll just click on. So we have some details in GST Zen as well that we have downloaded recently, and that those figures are used to calculate GSTR 9. The second method is calculated based on the auto-populated details provided by the government portal, and then you can go to this option fill here. Okay, so we'll show the figures based on all three methods. First is calculated by the government portal. This is auto-populated data by the GST portal. You can use this directly to file your GSTR 9. Then you have the details calculated by GSTs based on your returns. And then the last one is prepared by you. So you can enter the details here manually. So whichever method you want to choose, you can prepare your GSTR 9 based on that. So I can just calculate, I'll just click on calculated by the government portal and save form. Okay. So the payload has now been calculated. Next step is to upload the HSN summary. So you upload the HSN summary in an Excel. So this is very easy. In the portal, you will have to add one by one. Here you can upload directly through an Excel, both your inward and outward. Now this step is very important. This will help you in ensuring that there are no mistakes in your GSTR 9. It will validate your GSTR 9 for consistency. Okay. So it will make a check and show you that the figures should be the same. So if it is passing, it will show in green. So this is just a check. This does not mean that you cannot proceed with filing GSTR 9. It is merely showing you that these criteria it is not fulfilling, and if you have a reason for the discrepancy, that is fine. Otherwise, you can see why it is not as you can see this point to comparison of tax liability for 20 to 23 declared during returns filed in 23-24. So here it is saying GSTR 9 table 10 and 11. This is the figure, and it should be the differential tax payable as per declared GSTR 9 table 14. These should be equal, but as per the GSTR 9 we have saved, this is not equal. Hence, you should go back and check it. If you have a reason for this difference, you can go ahead and file. It will not stop you in filing. It will just enable you to make sure that there are no mistakes. Okay. So after validating, you can upload your return. If there are no errors, it will upload successfully. Then you can generate the summary and file the returns. So as you can see, the process of filing is very easy for your GSTR-9. Similarly, you can go for GSTR-9C also. Here again, first you download your filed GSTR-9. So since we have not yet filed GSTR-9 for this, you would not be able to download. But if your GSTR-9 and 9C is matching, you can directly go ahead and file, or you can modify it if there are any differences between 9 and 9C. So as Venu sir said, GSTR-9 is what you have done during the year, and GSTR-9 is what it should be. So if you have some discrepancies, you can modify or upload your JSON to prepare GSTR-9C. Then upload the supporting documents that you have: balance sheet, profit and loss statements, other documents that you want to upload. Upload it directly to the government portal. Then you upload the return payload. This process of filing 9C hardly takes you 10 minutes if you are going with GSTR 9 that you have already filed. If you are filing GSTR 9, see on your filed 9. So here, that is a very short process of filing 9 and 9C. Okay. So I've shown you the demo of GSTR
Bharti,
9
just
and
scroll down. Sorry.
yeah.
Scroll down on the upload. Yeah. So a couple of things I would like to show. Just scroll up. So there are 4 uploads: uploading P&L, balance sheet, and other supporting documents. Most times people have an issue when you are directly going to the government portal and uploading. So those issues are firstly automatically taken care. The second thing, completely scroll to the top, please. You can see save your workings on the right corner of it. So when the audit is happening, like how you are getting notices for 17, 18 now, it's like 5 years now, when you get an audit, for you to see what are your relied upon document, what is the basis in which you have finalized and everything, you can zip them all and put and upload these workings here. So whenever you want, you can come back and do it. This is the very important. If I have to say 2 major things important, of course, at every step you have an option. What is the data auto populated by the government portal? What is the data GST then has the computer, and what you should be filing? You have all those multiple views. When you go to GSTR-9, can you just go to navigate to GSTR-9 once the validation
Yeah.
step? So come down. Once you prepare all this, there are some certain validations that are there. Okay. When you go through these validations, ideally we expect to have in a green tab in for all of the things. Just in case if you have read nothing wrong, but it is something definitely an edge case and you are comfortable with it. So you have to see that, yes, okay, what we are showing is right, or what. It's basically a check before you file. So again, it's very important that you build these checks before you file, so that you know that you are not filing an erroneous 9. Why? Like how you have a correction of 1 in the table 11, or the amendments, credit notes and everything, or 3B subsequent period 9, you do not have an opportunity to correct. Once you file, you cannot correct it. Scroll up. In the first one, you can see some orange or red. It would indicate that, hey, looks like something wrong. If you see here in GSTR-9 table 10 and 11, value has been filled as 1349, while the data entry person has missed out putting the value in table 14. So it is indicating that, okay, go back and do an appropriate data entry. That is how this has been built, to ensure that you don't make mistakes, and go through all the respective values and see if you are satisfied, because once you file your GSTR-9, there is no going back. It is like this is your final opportunity to correct, and you have exercised, and you are saying that, okay, hey, look, these are my final returns. Basis this, you go ahead and do an audit and everything. You're informing the officer. Hence, it's utmost important to file GSTR-9 in a more better way than like taking it in a light way. I think these are my closing notes. Bharti, back to you.
Okay. Yeah, so I have shown you the process of 9 filing. This is pretty simple. Plus, there are other features as well. You can have all of this. Let's say you want to check the filing status of your returns also. Yeah, one moment. If I go to this autopilot feature, so now that filing season is here for 9 and 9C. And if you want to make sure that you filed 9 for all your GST numbers, you can check the GSTR-9 status. Right now it is still 2122. You can start checking for all the GST numbers here, and it would show whether you have filed everything, and it will show you the date of filing as well. Here you can see for all these GST numbers, the filing has been done, and it will show you the ARN and the date of filing. So you can make sure that you have filed everything before the due date itself, and make sure that you are compliant of GST, all your you are compliant in all your areas.
Especially for group CFOs, or you have 3, 4 GSTNs handled by different accountants. On a click of a button, you will know. Like if you're a tax practitioner, you are filing for 10, 12 clients, you can just have get a view of whether all of them have filed or not, all that in one click.
Right. Plus, you have these reports at PAN level also. If you want, let's say, your GSTR-9 at PAN level, you want to check summaries. So here you can also have your GSTR-8 PAN level filed GSTR-9 download. If you want to see the summary of all the GST numbers at a glance, here you would be able to see it, and you won't have to go to each. You won't have to look at each GST's summary separately. You can just have one Excel and look at everything at a glance. So all these details are available to you at PAN level.
Bharti,
Okay,
also on the
so
notice management tracker.
right. I'll also show you another feature, that is notices. So this is a new feature in GST Zen. So here we have recently added it to autopilot. So let's say you have multiple GST numbers and you want to manage all the notices at one place. If you're going to GST portal, you would have to go to each GST number separately. Here you have all the notices in a single dashboard. You can um, filter it by GST number or issuing authority. Then you have notice type, date of issue, everything. All these filters you have. Plus, you can also download it at one go. If I want to download it, I can go to download data from the government portal, username, password, and download notices. I can just select the GST numbers, put the username password here. If it is already there, you can just put in the captcha and log in. Once logged in, it will start downloading the data for each GST number that you have selected over here. You won't need to go separately. Plus, you also have the facility of managing all the notices. So if I want to change that, this is the status says unread as of now. So if I go to this particular notice, I can change the status from unread to acknowledge work in progress or resolved at any stage, at any level, wherever you are, you can change the status, and you can have any attachments, anything that you have, any response that you have given to the government, you can save it here as well to come back at a later date and manage all your notices. You can
And
have
also you
multiple
see here,
users.
can you go back to that notice once? Yeah, if you see here, the contents of the notice is also extracted for your easy reference. The order ID, the description of the notice, when it has been issued, what is the due date to respond, and if there is any quantification of demand, all that has also been very neatly, it is extracted and presented for your easy reference.
Okay. Yeah, so here you have all these details. You can download the PDF and you can track notices for all the GST numbers that are added to GST Zen. You'd be able to look at everything here: the due date, issuance date, whether the result or it has remained unread, and you can have multiple users. So, even let's say you are the supervising person, and different people are in charge of different GST numbers. You can just come here and see the status for all the notices, or if you want to check different the notices for different GST numbers, you can just come here and see it. Everything under the same dashboard. Are there any questions regarding any part of it? Or questions are welcome.
Okay, any questions to anyone? Both on working of GSTR-9 or any of the theory aspect of GSTR-9. If you have any questions, we can take some questions. Bhaskar is asking on the price. Bhaskar, you can just connect to the support at GST Gen. When you log into the portal, there are 3 plans. You can pick anything and choose it. All right, so I guess we have addressed all the questions. And in case if there are any questions still come up, feel free to reach out to our support number. You can write your question to our support. Some of the team member would definitely answer you. And you can, on the presentation, you also have my email ID. You can always reach to me, or in the WhatsApp channel, you will find my number. You can always reach to me. So if you have any GST compliance related question, we are here to assist you. I thank Bharti and Utkarsh for setting up this session. And thank you, everyone.